Hello friends, welcome into NFL Daily presented by BETDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I am your host Tom Downey, back again with the latest NFL rumors, and where else are we going to start but Antonio Brown and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two different things we're going to break down here, starting off with the reports from ESPN. A lot of different things from that one, big one being that Mike Tomlin, head coach Mike Tomlin, told the team, we'll tolerate Antonio Brown's antics for now because he keeps being an elite wide receiver, but the minute the production stops, he is gone. Now, meanwhile, the buzz around the team is that this, because it's been brewing for years with Antonio Brown's, just group it all together and call it drama, many think it's over in Pittsburgh. Now, Brown has consistently been late to team meetings, sometimes not even showing up at all for the Wednesday morning meetings. Meanwhile, Brown kind of feels like he's being scapegoated a little bit here because he's not the only one who can cause the drama. Big Ben, for example, has caused drama before, and there are some issues, some friction between Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. Some have even said that Brown skipped Week 17, or at least missed most of it, to prove, hey, you guys think Juju's all this and this offense doesn't need me? Let's see what happens if I don't show up, where Juju didn't have the best showing and the Steelers' offense was a bit slow to start. Now, in terms of his future, there is a small but strong trade market for Antonio Brown. The one thing I will continue to mention, because it does matter a lot, is that Pittsburgh only saves just over $1 million in cap space with any potential trade, and if they're going to do it before the draft, has to come before March 17th. Brown has a $2.5 million roster bonus, so regardless, there's 21 plus in dead money if Antonio Brown is traded or cut. If it comes after March 17th, that goes up to 23 plus, almost 23, over 23 and a half in terms of dead money for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Brown continues to play at a very high level, but is the antics, the social media stuff, is all of that too much right now for Pittsburgh? So what should they do? Type K for keep or type T for trade? I try and keep him. I try to make nice. And that brings us to our next rumor. Could the Browns and Steelers have a little reconciliation? Some marriage counseling, they kiss and make up, and it lasts a little bit longer. Well, Fansided reports, and this is not an opinion piece, this is one of their sourced articles, that the Steelers and Brown want to reconcile their differences, which does make sense. ESPN also reports that at least one GM thinks that will end up being the case here. Now, Brown's social media posting hasn't really backed it up. We'll get into that, but I think it makes sense from Pittsburgh's perspective for at least one more year of a reconciliation. The contract is so tough to move from their end, easy for the new team to take it on, but you eat so much dead money, you're only going to save $1 million. You have a tough time replacing Antonio Brown with that type of money, which I think drives up the asking price in a trade. But Antonio Brown's tweets and Instagram posts, I think, are actually driving down his asking price and his value every single day. Now, here are the BETDSI odds on Antonio Brown's team in 2019. Niners and Jets lead the way, and then a big change here. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now plus 350. When these odds first came out, they were plus 1,500. By the way, guess who locked in when it was plus 1,500? I did. I bet on Antonio Brown to stick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can bet on these odds right now over at BETDSI. Sign up at chatsports.com/bet. Takes you right into the site. Use promo code LIVE120 when you sign up and deposit. It gets you a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $50 to bet with, and they're going to give you $60 for free. Put down $100, and they're going to give you $120. And then if you use Bitcoin instead of MasterCard, it actually becomes a 150% deposit bonus. So you put down $100, you're getting an extra $30 for a grand total of $150. It's the best deal out there. And if you guys don't feel confident with Bitcoin, we understand. DM us on Twitter at ChatSports. We'll help walk you guys through it. One more Antonio Brown rumor here, and it once again revolves around the San Francisco 49ers and the Instagram post that Antonio Brown made, which we'll bring up here in just a second for you guys. Now, Jerry Rice has said before that Antonio Brown wants to play for the 49ers, and they are a logical destination. Meanwhile, Antonio Brown posted this morning, him in a Photoshop 49ers jersey. By the way, a very good Photoshop, very high quality there, with a photo of him and Jerry Rice, and with a quote there from Jerry Rice, Antonio Brown telling us how he really feels about wanting to join the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Niners are a perfect and I think a very logical landing spot for Antonio Brown. Number one, for starters, they have the cap space. They can afford to take on his contract. Not every team can. They have the draft picks available to make a big trade. I'd say the discussion starts around that early second-round pick, which might as well be a first-round pick. And I think they have the need as well. They have Marquise Goodwin. For now, they have Pierre Garçon, who might get cut after June 1st, or it could be a post-June 1st cut designation. I like Dante Pettis. Kendrick Bourne played a lot. Trent Taylor, Richie James, those guys I think are more number 3, number 4s. Where's your legit number 1 wide receiver? Imagine Jimmy Garoppolo and Antonio Brown. I think there's a good reason why Antonio Brown wants to go to the 49ers. I think players want to play for Jimmy G, assuming he ends up actually being healthy. I think they are a logical fit if Antonio Brown does get traded. So where will Antonio Brown play in 2019? Let me know in the comments section. I hinted at one of the bets I had. I think Pittsburgh is still a possibility there. I would not be stunned if they found a way to make up and just last for another year, maybe 2, before it makes more sense for him to move on. I don't think, though, that Antonio Brown's going to finish his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another soon-to-be former Pittsburgh Steeler, Le'Veon Bell. Could he go to the Dolphins? Well, fan-sided reports that Bell, if all things are equal, wants to play for the Miami Dolphins. Now, I will emphasize the all things being equal, because read between the lines there, Lev Bell wants to get paid. That's been his number 1 goal for the past calendar year. He wants a big, fat contract, so if the Dolphins offer it, he'll go sign with them. Now remember, Bell sat out all the 2018 season, and he spent a good portion of his time in Miami, with the report from fan-sided being that, look, you got the great weather, everyone likes to hang out in Miami, it's a great place to be, especially during the summer when it's nice and warm, and by the way, Lev Bell thinks it would help his rap career, which seems very believable, at least to me. So if Bell, I'm actually very curious what kind of money Bell gets this offseason. Had a great 2017, we know how dynamic he is, but then James Conner and Jalen Samuels look pretty darn good. Could he be a product of the system? I don't think so, but I think that's at least a discussion worth having. Now that's for the Dolphins, and we don't know if Miami actually wants Bell. They have Kenyon Drake, who's supposed to be their number 1 guy. Frank Gore is a free agent. Kalen Ballage was a mid-round pick. They have Brandon Bolden and some other guys on the roster, but Bolden's also a free agent. I think Miami is looking at a potential rebuild. I don't think Lev Bell makes the most sense for them. Now, you could always say just add talent, but I don't know if adding Lev Bell, assuming you blow up the roster with guys like Robert Quinn and Ryan Tannehill and others being cut, I don't think it makes them a playoff team. So at that point, does adding Bell make sense for Miami? So where will he play in 2019? Let me know in the comments section. Then go DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for my answer. I got a pretty good guess on where I think Bell plays next season. We'll stick in the AFC. Jacoby Brissett, could he be traded? He made a comment that he wants to start in the NFL, which isn't a huge surprise. Meanwhile, he did not demand a trade, and General Manager Chris Ballard said he would need to be blown away for a trade. Remember, owner Jim Irsay said, probably around this time, or I should say last year, that he would not trade Brissett for a first-round pick, which is not good management of a roster. I think they would do it. But Brissett, understandably so, said he wants to be a starting quarterback. And his numbers don't necessarily back that up from 2017. But Blake Bortles was a starter this year, and so was Cody Kessler. So there's a market for at least average to slightly below average quarterback play. He is on the final year of a cheap rookie contract. Maybe now is the time to trade him if I'm the Colts, but NFL teams do highly value competent backup quarterback play because we've seen what happens when players go down. All right, folks, if you have not already, well, go subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube.com/chatsportstv is the link. If you're watching on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. Get us to 1,000 subscribers. We got all kinds of great NFL coverage, rumors and news, draft content, and all the crazy stuff you could possibly want. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. To the NFC now with some more quarterback talk. Cam Newton has indeed underwent another shoulder surgery. Now, the team physician did it, and the reports coming out from NFL Network and Sports Illustrated that it's a relatively minor procedure, which is hopefully the case because you don't want your quarterback getting more right shoulder surgery on that throwing arm that's not what you ever want to hear about your quarterback. Now, Newton started the year, I thought, really, really well. Super accurate. I thought North Turner did a fantastic job. But then as the year went on, you could very clearly see that arm was just not right. It continued to get worse. The Panthers shut him down. Hopefully the surgery fixes that. Now looking ahead to next season, you hope that Cam Newton's able to go. Top backup Taylor Henneke, and I use top loosely, is a free agent. Kyle Allen did flash a little bit, but those were against the Saints backups. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on Allen being an actual backup. I think if you're Carolina, even if you trust Newton to get healthy and you want to win games next year, probably a good idea to go invest in a backup quarterback. I don't know if Tyrod or Tyrod Taylor is going to be a backup type, but maybe you could throw a couple of extra money at him. Maybe he wants to go have a chance to start somewhere. If not, I think Carolina makes a lot of sense there. So how worried are you guys about Cam Newton? Grade on a scale of 1 to 10 for me. For now, I'll only put it about in the 3 range. I'm not panicking yet, but it is worth monitoring throughout the offseason. Then again, I was one who wasn't panicking about Andrew Luck, and I was definitely wrong about that for a year. Moving on, we'll keep talking about the Carolina Panthers here. Could they change schemes? Well, Carolina is running 4-3 under Ron Rivera, but now the report from The Athletic is maybe they make a change to run some more 3-4 types of sets. Now, Rivera's run both in his NFL career, and the goal here is to get more pressure in an increasingly pass-happy league. Now, remember, most teams run nickel the vast majority of the time, so it's a bit of a misnomer these days to put too much emphasis on a 4-3 versus 3-4. But let's take a look at what the Panthers' depth chart could look like on the front. Dontari Poe, he becomes your nose tackle. I think that's a good fit for him. Kawan Short will be fine as a defensive end. Maybe it's kind of more of a Wade Phillips type 3-4 where he's still kind of a 3 technique. And maybe Vernon Butler finally capitalizes on some talent there. It's been a bit of a bust for Carolina. Kyle Love is a free agent there as well. He played more than Butler, but for now, put Butler ahead because of the whole free agent thing. Now, in terms of the linebacker depth chart, and this is where things could change over here for Carolina, I wouldn't expect any drastic moves in terms of the interior. Luke Kuechly, Shaq Thompson, they'll be fine there. Frankly, I think Shaq Thompson might be better as a 3-4 inside linebacker. But again, nickel, so put too much emphasis there. The issue is edge rusher, and we'll go back to that real fast here because I'm not quite done with it, is that Julius Peppers, a free agent, might retire. Mario Addison, kind of a tweener. I think he'd be a stand-up edge guy. The one guy that it could benefit the most, if not maybe more than Shaq Thompson, is Marquise Haynes. He's a little bit undersized to be a 4-3 defensive end, but as a stand-up edge rusher, I think he fits far better. So if Carolina does run more 3-4 sets, maybe it comes on passing downs to get Marquise Haynes standing up. And I assume early on in the NFL draft, you'll see Carolina draft a new edge rusher. If there's a guy that fits better in a 3-4, maybe they won't be afraid of drafting one earlier this year. We'll stick in the NFC. Let's talk coaches. About Jason Garrett. Is he not going to call the plays for the Dallas Cowboys? While I do expect Jason Garrett to be more involved in the offense, the report from Ian Rappaport is that he's not actually going to call the plays. There'd been some buzz that, heck, maybe Jason Garrett calls the plays now that Linehan's been fired, and Kellen Moore, who is the likely offensive coordinator, is the OC but doesn't call the plays. You also see tight ends coach Doug Nussmeier have a more notable impact in terms of the weekly game planning for the Cowboys on offense. But latest buzz is that maybe Jason Garrett won't call the plays after all, which would likely mean the actual play caller is Kellen Moore or Doug Nussmeier. So Cowboys fans, who should call the plays this season for Dallas? Let me know in the comments section. I push for Jason Garrett. If it's between Doug Moore or Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier as I merge their names together, maybe you just give Kellen Moore a shot, the young offensive mind, and we see how things end up going. All right, folks, I'm wearing a mizzen and main shirt. Makes me look passable on air, so imagine what it could do for you. Comfortable.af is the site. Go check them out. It is the best damn dress shirt out there. They are indeed comfortable as F. Last rumor for the day, are the Chicago Bears going to get a new kicker? Chicago's working out multiple kickers today. Among the notable ones are Blair Walsh and Nick Folk. The big problem here is that despite the interest and potential competition is that Parkey has a $4 million cap hit, and the way the contract is structured with the signing bonuses, it actually can't be salvaged. Even if the Bears cut Cody Parkey after June 1st, they don't save any money. It's still going to count against their capital to split it up across some years there. So that's the problem for the Bears. Like if they cut him right now, they actually have to add extra dead money to their cap. So for the Bears, not a great sign there for Cody Parkey. I think he'll hang around. They'll bring in guys to compete, but the way his contract is structured, it just makes it tough for the Bears to actually cut him. Not the best contract there for Chicago.